Talking smack about the smack. We're talking smack about the smack today. Talking smack about the smack. We talking smack about the smack today. We talking smack about the smack. We talking smack about the smack today. We're talking smack about the smack. Just heard my phone drop in the studio like blap. We're talking smack about the smack. We're gonna rap a taste today, as they say. Smack about the smack. Uh-oh. Heard my phone drop in the studio like blap. Oh, I see. We got Facebook Live in the building, like literally in the building, not just figuratively. As my computer was playing the Facebook Live stream. What's happening, Facebook? I hope that you are well. Hope that you find yourself as good as I do. Me today, another day, another opportunity to make it do what it do. As always, thank you for coming through. Drop a line. Let me know what it be like. Let me know how you feel. We're going to talk about some real things today. Talking smack about the smack. Talking smack about the smack. Facebook family. I'm hanging out here with my people on my personal profile today. Hey, what's up, family? If you can hear me loud and clearly, drop a line. Let me know how you're doing. And also, when you get the opportunity to, you should come on over to Clubhouse. Telephone app called Clubhouse. And it's really cool because you have the opportunity to jump into conversation if you choose to. You can either just listen into the conversation, or you can take part in a conversation like you're about to hear in a few moments. So download Clubhouse audio chat app and look for me on the map at Aaron Hill TV. V at Aaron Hill TV. V, come see me, Aaron Hill TV, over here on Clubhouse. And the cool thing about it is that you can also still be on Facebook Live. So what I'm doing right now is what they call pinging my friends. That just means I'm calling up my other friends on the phone to see if they might be around to either listen in or be a part of this conversation. And so you'll hear probably some familiar voices, especially if you follow me on social media. You hear some of the people that you see down in the comment section. So today, for at least the next hour, we're going to talk smack about the smack. But talk some good smack. Some things that we really need to think about. I didn't even know about it till my good friend, my BF, F to the FFF, Coco Lorraine Vera, hit me up and was like, hey, yo, what you think about that smack, yo? I want to know your thoughts, your ideas. So I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We could start there. And then I looked it up. I saw the joke. I saw the reaction. I still want to go back and look at it even more closely. Y'all know me, psychoanalyzing shit. But I had some thoughts. And then she also started to share some thoughts that will really blow me away, make me want to talk here about it. I've been a Will Smith fan since, when I was a kid. And he came out with the Dennis the Menace song, Parents Just Don't Understand. Me and my brothers would be just like stand at my dad's house and that was the song when we were like mad at dad, you know. Parents just don't understand. We'd be jumping around the room singing the song. Felt good too. Felt like somebody understood. And then of course, I was a Will Smith fan. Fresh Prince style. Also been a fan of, his acting and that kind of thing. But she shared some things with me about his life that I didn't know. And when it adds up, I'm like, whoa. There's a lot that went into that smack, and there was a lot that was behind that. And I mean both that, literally and figuratively. So I was like, hey, why don't we just jump on Clubhouse and keep talking about it? Because I don't want to stop this conversation, but I do got to start my morning show. And so she agreed. So in a few moments, we'll be chopping it up about the smack. If you're hanging out with me here on Clubhouse, first of all, what up? If you'd like to come to the stage, by all means, throw up a wave. Let us say hey to your beautiful face. Check in. And if not, because there's nobody actually in the audience right now, I just pulled back my screen. Then that's all good too. Facebook family, while we're waiting on my Clubhouse family, drop a line. What did you think of the smack? Like, what did you think about it? Curious. Already, even just in the first, 10 minutes of knowing about this, I'm already hearing varying opinions, for sure. Because, it's a lot that goes into a smack. A whole lot. Whether you know about that or not. Like, whether you are hip to it already, like what's going on or not. Herb the Voice Spencer. What's up, Herb? You should come over in Clubhouse, bro. You should come on over in Clubhouse so we can talk, so I can catch up with you. Download Clubhouse. Look for me at Aaron Hill TV. Come on over. You'll still listen in on the conversation, but we can also check in, and I can do more than read your comment. I can hear your voice. Herb said, Aaron, he laughed and then reacted, which was premeditated. Then he looks to be smiling as he walked away. Interesting. So Herb, you said that he laughed and then he reacted, which means that it was premeditated. And he looked to be smiling as he walked away. All right. So one thing I know that's going to happen this hour is going to hear a lot of different perspectives. And that's the joy of it, because we get a chance to really chop it up. Again, there's a lot that went into and a lot that goes into smacking anybody. Let's just start there. There's a lot that goes into smacking anybody. A lot of thought goes into that. Even if it's like no thought in the moment, but it was a long chain of things that have happened in the past, subconsciously and consciously. Yeah, a lot goes into it. My deepest desire is to understand and be empathetic, because like my mentor said, nothing happens in a vacuum. So everything that we see, every smack that we see, every traumatizing situation or one that feeds it, we're seeing something that's like that. It does not happen in a vacuum. There are different things that happen together. And even my computer agrees as it updates my Bitdefender antivirus protector. What up, Karen? Hey, how you doing? I hope that you're well. All right, while I'm pinging people here, hey, Coco, what's happening? Yeah, so, I'm talking about you. I'm already saying we were having a conversation. And, I didn't want the conversation to end. So I was just like, why don't we just get on the morning show and just keep talking about it? Because, that's what it is. Hey, Coco.
Good morning, AA Ron.
Hey. Smack. The smack.
Yeah.
A lot goes into a smack. A whole lot. And to me, it's just so important to look more closely at it to see what up with it, So I was saying that, I had no idea about it until you mentioned it this morning. And I watched the smack, saw with my own eyes, gonna look back at it a bit more closely. And because me psychoanalyzing every damn thing. And on top of that, I was like, what you shared, the things that you shared, about his past and about his life, some things that I knew and some things that I did not know. I was like, whoa, a whole lot went into this smack, and there's a whole lot that we need to talk about. So first
Yes,
of all,
sir.
you know what I mean? Good morning to you. And yeah, how does this unfold for you? What was your impression of this smack?
Well, I felt really, what's the word? I would say concerned. Concerned about mental health
Right.
and hidden pain in paradise,
Right.
things like that. And I do agree with you that premeditated or not, I know what happens when you have to be fake. Hollywood is fake and full of smiles, and so people are going to criticize, and whether it was right, whether it was wrong, whether it was staged, whether it was not staged,
Right.
whether he thought the joke was funny because he laughed at first and then saw Jada's face because she looked sad, and then said, wait a minute, my wife is hurt, and then grandstand, and then they're going to criticize his tears, they're going to criticize his speech, they're going to say he said sorry to the Academy but he didn't apologize to Chris, and regardless of whether he wins or he didn't win, whether he was there or he wasn't there, he's under fire as a black man in America. And it's just, I'm concerned about mental health and wellness and the crisis that we are in the moment with black men in particular who, like Will, have moments where they lose it. I didn't realize how much I've studied him and his wife and what they've gone through. Me being a Canadian, the only thing that I got from, the way I seeped into black culture and felt at home was because of the Bill Cosby show and because of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's where I felt at home. In the TV show, right? So I grew up as a huge fan and have gone on to watch everything that I could, including the behind the scenes stuff. And yeah, it's alarming to see how much scrutiny he's been under, how much they've criticized his son for how he dresses, and how they've criticized his daughter and how she sings, how they've criticized his wife and who she is. She's never going to be good enough. And then we criticized him for his work and their marriage. And Chris Rock has, I don't know if he has some kind of type of vendetta against them, but his comments at the 2016 Academy Oscars, when he disrespected Jada, it was awful then. And what he said to her about her hair was awful now. And I think Will had enough.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Immediately what I saw, and that's the first thing I said to you, I was like, nothing happens in a vacuum. And the thing is, like, hey, Nikki, look, I just realized about you. What's up, Nikki? Nicole, meet Nicole. Nikki, this is Sherry's friend Nikki and Coco. This is Nicole. So Nicole, meet Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
Good. My government name is Nicole. That's why he's
government name. I'm on here with my government name. Okay.
Your good government name.
Yeah, if I could go back, I'd probably keep my government name as my name now, but it's too late. I already branded Coco. Sounds like a puppy or a stripper.
Oh my God.
Whatever. So.
Oh God. Oh man, that is absolutely hilarious. So, Nikki, I brought you up here because I know you probably got some thoughts about this too. And so let me give you and do a quick reset of the room. Hey Z, hello, and hey again Karen, and also Herb and Caesar and Sherry Thompson and everybody else hanging out here on Facebook. What up, family? Hey, drop a line, and don't just drop a line. Come on over here to Clubhouse so I can hear your voice. You could be actually part of this conversation, because your comment, I can't read as many exclamation points as you put there because it just doesn't translate. So come on over, let's talk. So, I didn't know about this situation, watched it, this morning. Coco let me know about it. I'm like, oh, had a lot of thoughts immediately. And then when she started sharing a lot of his backstory that I didn't know about, and how it all puts together, I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot here to unpack. Jokes are things that they're all, subjective. So I thought about this the other day, and I just shared this with her. Like, the difference between whether a joke is funny or not is the amount of people that laugh. And I'm like, okay, so in this case, man, my man Herb over here said, "What's up, Mike? What's up, cuzzo?" Herb over here said, you know, he laughed before and then smiling as he walked away. So it's like, you know, premeditated. But what I'm thinking about, though, from now what I know and some things I'm learning is like, oh no, this goes deep. This goes very deep. And so this is something that, as he as a comedian didn't find funny, and why, you know. So I just want to unpack here today, and let's just chop it up. You know, I'm learning a lot and I have a lot of thoughts. Nikki, what's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it when Coco said the hidden pain in paradise.
Right.
And I think that we all have hidden pain and we can be triggered.
Right.
And also, I just felt like, for me, because I've snapped at a, you know, uncharacteristically, like you can just be triggered, but it may not have all been just about Chris Rock at that moment. Maybe that just triggered him on some other things that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, to me, about how to take control of your emotions. Like, I'll be, you know, very transparent that I snapped off on somebody very dear to me, and I felt like I was in the right. But the way that it went about it, it has damaged the relationship, right? And so I don't apologize for what I said. It's more about how I said it.
You said it, right.
And so looking at YouTube this morning, and even looking at Will's acceptance speech, he never apologized to Chris Rock. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those, I don't regret what I did. I regret where I did it. Mm-hmm. I do like that Chris Rock kept his cool because, you know, in my friend circle, some people were talking about, oh, I would have got with Will, but what good would that have done? Like, escalate the situation, and then, then how do we look on national TV? It's like reconfirming what they think about us anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so
you bring up a couple great points here.
It's just interesting.
One thing I want to throw in there real quick, and then Coco, I'm curious of your thoughts as well, and anybody else who'd like to share, by all means, if you are here and you have any thoughts. We all do to some degree, especially with the way we're going to unpack this. You know, it's interesting when you mention about the apology. The first thing I noticed as soon as I watched it was, oh no, he completely owned this. First of all, he's on national television, so he already knows what the consequences would be. And what I saw immediately was him owning it from beginning to end. I saw him owning it. And that's the first thing, because I'm always looking for a place to be empathetic. That's the first place to let me know, like, okay, this goes deep right here. Like, this goes deep. And then when I would find out more about his upbringing and him watching his mom be abused, like, ooh. And I'm like, this stacks up for me, even just with just starting to put this together, this stacks up for me, you know, a situation of someone who has something that he even still straddles his own shoulders with what happened with his mom, even though it's not his, you know, it's his fault or responsibility, but to the point of saying, like, I will protect, you know, the women that I love at all costs. And like I said, I'm just saying one thing out of many now that I think about with even some of the stuff that Coco shared with me and facts about his life that I didn't know. But anyway, with that, I'm just saying I noticed the ownership, and that's why I could recognize the not apologizing, because of the way he owned it, the way he like really owned it. Coco, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that recently I watched him talking about how he watched his mother being beaten by his father, and he felt guilty all these years for not being able to protect her. And he set out to have this perfect career where he was going to keep his family together. He just, you know, we don't understand, or we don't always talk about the full impact of trauma, childhood trauma, and witnessing of abuse.
Right.
And so you take a man and his mother is beaten to a pulp by a father, and obviously he probably sugarcoated that story.
Right.
Because most survivors sugarcoat because they don't think the world can take the truth.
Right.
And so then he grows up and becomes famous, and then all his money is gone because no one is helping him advise, and he gets all the scrutiny in the world.
Right.
Gets married. So I just think it's a series of life events that have happened. And then here he was. He had to, in Hollywood, you can't blame him for laughing at horrible jokes because that's what they're trained to do, as well as in politics. When somebody says something horrible, you're supposed to smile and you're supposed to laugh. So that was an automatic reaction that he's been having to do for his entire career.
Right.
Then he probably looked over and saw Jada's face because she did not laugh.
Right.
And that's when I think he got triggered. When he remembered her crying because she's losing her hair, and the battle that she had with losing her identity. Black women on a normal day have issues with our hair because of the way society views us, but to be a star, to also lose your hair and have to wear wigs and then embrace being bald and then show up to the Oscars after being disrespected a few years ago with your bald head, to then have that being made fun. Chris wasn't the host. There was no reason why he even had to make those jokes. He was presenting.
Yes, I agree.
He was presenting. And so it was a cheap shot on Chris's part.
Right.
Because, he wasn't his place to make those kinds of jokes. He didn't have to do that. He was off script, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
Will, I think, lost it when he was smiling on the way back. I think what I saw when he walked away from the smack was pain, was regret. Then when they say Chris acted really well, no, he didn't. He dug deeper. He said it was a joke. He went even deeper. It was about G.I. Jane. He wasn't. We have to look more. Just because he didn't hit him back doesn't mean he didn't fully jab. And so Will was like, the smack wasn't enough. I'm going to tell you, keep my wife's name out your mouth. And then he jabbed again. And Will Smith said,
that's a good point.
Pretty. So
no, I totally agree with that. But at some point, like what I was saying, that I think he handled it well, not in the way that the things he said, just in like not physically retaliating, because that would have just totally escalated the situation. That would have just totally escalated. But I mean, you bring up a good point, because whether you're famous or not, most people don't have that level of fame or notoriety. A lot of us are walking around with that and can be triggered. Right. And so, like, you see people going off in the Walmart or in the mall or at work and all of these other things. And it's still that Will Smith moment where you triggered me, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Right. So, but what do we do with that? It's kind of it's interesting to me to see, hey, Will Smith and being Will Smith and all that comes with, and he's on live TV and he snaps off. Basically, he snapped. What does that mean for the rest of us? That's what I'm kind of thinking about. Like, what do we do with those emotions? Because most of us don't get to tell our story or have a book or be able to explain to the world what led up to this moment. For the rest of us, a lot of us, we can wind up in handcuffs or worse.
Yeah, you raise a good point, Nicole, because on the flip side of that coin, even though I am sympathizing or empathizing with Will, does it promote violence? Obviously, if we accept it, if we condone it, and we don't. And what does that say about solving a problem when someone says a joke? Can a man smack a woman if she pops off and says something wrong? Is it okay? Why wasn't he held to account? Most people would have been arrested, but he wasn't, because of his privilege, his rich privilege, his Hollywood privilege. So, but then what message is that sending to our young black boys, that it's okay to use violence when you're angry when someone says something in the classroom, for example, right? My grandson is 6 years old soon, and he hit somebody in the class the other day. What do we say to him if he were to see this meme? And you know what I mean? So there's two sides to the coin. It's not a good look, but the deeper issue for me is the mental health of a Black man and how many people are in trauma and do resort to violence. And it's a mental health. My son Jordan Vera talked a lot about mental health and violent moments and what's behind the smack of in any situation. And not to hog the mic, but when I think about how much violent movies he's been in, he's been conditioned to be violent by the roles that he has played. Even in the theme song of his song, I got in one little fight, my mom got scared. Like, you know, he's been underpinning his career has been a lot of violence, perpetuated. And so then we glorify men who are violent and we call them heroes. But then real violence happens in the real world, we demonize them. So it's really an awkward, painfully, traumatizing situation, in my opinion. And it's not good on any front, but I hope that it can foster some communication about Black men's mental health.
I love all those points that you just made, Coco. Family, give me 1 second. I'm gonna up my audio quality to music real quick. Hold on 1 second. We going up. We moving up like the Jeffersons. Hold on 1 second. All right, cool. So now we are in music mode. There's so much to unpack with this. I want to say hello to Heather. We want to say hello to Heather and Eunice and Ryan, Sherry, Karen, the Smack, Will Smack, Chris. And as we know, nothing in life, like my mentor always said, nothing in life happens in a vacuum. So to unpack, is the most important part. And I always look for places to find empathy, because chances are all the behaviors, the ones that we consider good and the ones we consider not so good, are all based on that kind of way that we came through, the kind of upbringing that we had, the environment that we were in, survival, what was based on survival, what was based on thriving. And here's one of the things I often say: the things that we're against now, because we know that they were birthed out of survival places, these are things that helped us to survive. They might not help us to thrive, but for better or worse, they helped us to actually survive. And that's even with the stuff that we look at today and hell to the no, we cannot go forward with that. That's not helpful. Stuffing down your feelings is not helpful, except for if you are being chased by a slave owner and they're right behind you. You don't have time to deal with your feelings. You do have to stuff it down to survive. But when you're in a society, when you're sitting in a studio like myself right now, or wherever you are, and you're not pressed for your enemy to be right behind you like that, you have time to process your fears properly. So it doesn't allow us to thrive, but it did allow us to survive. So it's so much that goes into it. So I'm always curious, and I've learned a lot so far. Coco, you brought up a number of things that just made me go, I mean, his career, how he's been criticized in different ways. When you talked about how I remember on Fresh Prince, that one episode where he was, talking to Uncle Phil, with all that passion. And he was like, why does my father not want me? And it was just boom. And all of us was like, wow, really caught up by it. And then to think, oh, this is actually his real life playing out. In his mind, he's not acting here, or to think about also what you said about earlier in the show, when you mentioned that someone was like, yeah, it's all the single men, and included him because of his, his relationship and that kind of thing. All these things add up. These things are hurtful, in so many ways. So you made me think about Will Smith's mental health in a way that I never thought about before. Because you see someone who's driven, you see someone who's passionate and who's achieved a lot, but also has been through a lot. So, yeah, I want to open up the floor. I want to say hello to Nikai and Raymond and Ryan. Hey, Ryan has something to say. Sherry has something to say. We're going to invite those up. We're going to keep this conversation going. Will smacked Chris, and there's always more to it. Let's unpack it. Everybody, let's say good morning to Sherry.
Good morning, Sherry.
Let me make sure I did that.
Morning.
And let's say hello to Ryan, because I actually brought them both up at the same time.
Good morning,
hey, Ryan. Hey. Also want to say hello to Jaretha. Thanks so much for hanging out. Okay, so I think I might have think I might have PTR'd in a weird way. So it shows Ryan and then Sherry. So I'm gonna, me, I'm always trying to show manners and shit. Ryan, good morning to you. It's nice to meet you. Well, good morning if you're on my side of the world. It's nice to meet you. And yeah, how you doing this morning?
Doing well, thanks. How are you doing, Aaron?
Pretty good.
I'm in California, so
hey.
Good morning.
Okay, let me dial it back for California then. Hey Ryan, how you doing? Because it's 8:30 there, not 11:30, Well, it's good to meet you, my friend, and yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for picking up the phone. You have any thoughts around this situation?
I just want to say, one thing I think that I like about it that is an aspect that I haven't ever heard talked about so far is from a law and justice point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I knew that the police were going to get involved very shortly, and they did. And I think that's how it needs to be handled. He didn't want to press charges. We don't need to go as somebody, who was an intern in, I haven't worked in it, but I've interned for a year in the criminal defense, system from the defender side. And, I'm glad that this didn't become a thing, because there's many counties here in California where they don't have anything to do, and this would have become a thing if it was just a regular folks even. It's
that's a good point, man.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't
right.
It's LA, they have a lot of problems, so anyway they don't tend to bother for small things,
right.
But that said, you shouldn't, I don't think it was a good thing, but it's something that happens in life. People do hit each other. That was not just like a little bit, a small hit.
Right.
It wasn't too bad of a hit. I don't know if I still can't tell if it was a punch or a slap.
Oh, it was a slap. It was a open-handed, like one of those ones to make that.
Well, that's better.
You ever
better from a fist, I guess.
One thing I really appreciate about what you're saying here is that it didn't escalate further, as far as the law is concerned. My first thought, of course, was, oh man, is Chris going to press charges? I'm so glad, like you, and for so many different reasons, that it's not going to that place. Because I'm going to tell you something, and this is why it's so important. We already got enough issues. We don't need distractions and things being made about things that they're not at all. Like, it's already tough enough. So, for that reason, I am so glad, because we all know how it works. A little bit of drama and a little bit of confusion and a little bit of spice for the media equals play on it. And it would just been ugly. And we look for that kind of stuff to gossip about. It'd been ugly. So I am glad as well that it didn't go in that direction, for sure.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if Will Smith would have, and I'm a huge Will Smith fan, but I'm just saying, I wonder if that was Jerry Seinfeld, if he would have walked up on stage and smacked the shit out of Jerry Seinfeld. First of all, if he did, he would be in some handcuffs. Like, even if because Chris did not want to press charges and he kind of let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But would he have taken that same liberty in defending his family? Would he have thought differently about what's going to happen if that was someone? And I'm just using Jerry Seinfeld as an example, because he's a comedian and he's a huge name, right? Would that same thing would have occurred?
I feel like, it's a good question. If in unpacking this and some of the things that I'm learning that I think went into him, I really feel like, this is just with the little bit of information I have, I really feel like at that moment Will saw his mother.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it was one of those things where I think it just went deep. I think no matter who it was, no matter what race, what ethnicity, where their career is or anything, I feel like his thing could have happened. I just feel like it just went deep there. And he was just like, I am not going to let this happen to someone who I care about, and I not defend them, because it's been tough for me since I was a kid, and I'm still wrestling with not being able to defend my mother. Like, I just think it went that deep. But that's my thoughts, you know.
Yeah, and I'm just and that's a good response. That's why I'm just bringing it up, because you know, in this country we always balance everything against race, right? And so it was just something that crossed my mind. I agree with you, but
I think he saw red. I think he saw red.
Oh, yeah,
I think he saw the same thing that happens to me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coco.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No problem. Last thing I was gonna say. As a Taurus, right? I'm that friendly Taurus. It takes so much for me to get mad. But I noticed something, and it's probably not a Taurus thing. I just like to play around with this concept. But it's like every now and then, like, there's something that someone does to me that, like, it's just like a snap. Like, for a second, all I see is red. And then if I'm, you know, I could bring myself down, but like, and it takes a lot for me to get there, but I've seen it. And I think he saw red. Yeah. Coco.
Yeah. I think that there was some history with Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I think that when your own family insults your wife the way that Chris did, as a black person who knows about black women's hair, it runs deep. I don't know if I don't know that Will Smith would have cared as much about Seinfeld's insult. When I think about the psychology behind why people fight and who they're fighting and why they get so angry. If his father, a black man, hitting a black mother, a black man insulting his black wife on national TV and not being okay, and him doing it year in 2016. So I don't even know that Will Smith would have gotten that angry if someone like a Seinfeld would have made that joke. I don't think that someone like a Seinfeld would understand the dynamics of black hair and black women and how he shouldn't even make that kind of a joke. Not that white people don't make fun of black people at times. So I don't necessarily like hypotheticals, because when we bring in hypotheticals and then we think that, you know, as I've heard people say already, if it was a white man that got smacked, then the police would have tackled Will Smith and he would have been in prison. So it saddens me that we have to ask that question, because does the media not want to protect Chris, or does the police not want to protect Chris the way they wouldn't want to protect a white man from being attacked by a person? Do they not hold black men as valuable, which is why Will Smith could get away with it? It's so nuanced and it's so painful to witness and to see and to talk about. But I do believe, I'm not an expert, obviously, but I do believe that it hurts more when it comes from people who you know, kinfolk are not acting like kinfolk, you know.
Yeah, no, I understand. I do understand. And the reason why I bring that up, and I do respect your comment, Coco, but that is the reality of saying if the tables were turned, he probably would be. I mean, to me, that's the reality of the world, especially in these ununited states of America that we live in. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just thinking about how we have to predetermine outcomes on how we live our lives. Like, I have 2 sons, and I have to predetermine the outcomes. If you do this is most likely going to happen. So I think that we've been, and I'll just speak to myself, accustomed to survive in this country, predetermining the outcomes of all of our actions. If I say this, if I do that, if I go to this neighborhood, if I buy a house here, if my kids go to this school, if my son wears a hoodie, if he doesn't wear a hoodie, like, we're constantly evaluating the outcomes of all of our actions before they even happen. We shouldn't we shouldn't have to do that. We should be a people that are free, but that's just the reality of the way we live. And I didn't use Jerry Seinfeld as being Jerry Seinfeld. I just used him as he's a name, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a big name. He's a celebrity. He has power in the industry. And so that's why I was kind of thinking through it. And I think that you're right. It is a shame that we would have to make the comparison, but that's how we, as Black people, primarily live our lives. It's our lives. We try to predetermine all of our outcomes.
So it's interesting that you bring these things up, because it's a real thin line between like just operating in the reality that you're in, because you have to some degree. If you want to win the game, in some cases, you got to be willing to play. Like, that's the first step, is to actually play it. And then there's some games you win by not playing the game at all. And it's just so interesting, because from what we know as far as everyday life, you got to know the terrain that you're in. And to some degree, even if you don't agree with it, you have to be aware of it, so that you can guard yourself against it or what have you. It's a lot to unpack. I want to do a quick refresh again. I want to say hello to Brandy M. Dayton in the house. Good friend. Good to see you, man. Marcy, Candace, Ramon, thanks so much for hanging out. Family, if you'd like to come to the stage, by all means, throw up a wave. I'm going to do two quick things here. Number one is I'm going to share a couple thoughts from what's been said on Facebook, and then we're going to say hello to Sherry and see what Sherry's thoughts are about this smack. We talking smack about the smack, but some good smack, y'all. Hey. So over here on Facebook, my good cousin Michael Taylor says, we're all dealing and seen behavior and unseen behavior. And Yusef says, Chris upped his brownie points on his black card, not going in on Will criminally. That's interesting. That's very interesting. If you want to elaborate on that, come on over here to Clubhouse, because I'd love to even find out more of what you mean by that, and what your thoughts are. Let's chop it up. That's what the conversations are for. In the meantime, between time, again, if you'd like to come to the stage, by all means, throw up a wave. And if not, it's all good. Might be helping you to take over your day right now and just get it about your Monday morning. Thanks for hanging out. With that, everybody, let's open up our microphones. Say good morning to Sherry. Sherry, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Well, I mean, the conversation actually has been extremely interesting, and what I actually wanted to talk about, we've moved past, but I do appreciate everything that you all are saying. And what brought me up to the stage was the conversation about, I think Coco was mentioning kind of the song, for Fresh Prince and things that Willis said. And I wanted to see if anybody else, Nicole, I know, is watching Bel Air, which has become one of my favorite shows. And Nikki, did you also catch in one of the recent episodes where Will was talking to Uncle Phil, and Uncle Phil was trying to keep him from his father for harm's sake. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And eventually Will just pretty much said the same thing. And the thing I'm appreciating so much about Bel Air is it really is more of the drama side of the Fresh Prince. The Fresh Prince was kind of a comedy situation, but Bel Air really does give an opportunity to dig into the personalities and the backstory. And it's, especially if you watch The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, it really does make so much sense to what Coco was saying about, this being Will's life. And I just immediately thought, art imitates life. And Will, if you watch this show, honestly, I think it should win some awards because they leave it all there on the screen. They really do. They deal with racism, colorism, I should say, within the family. They deal with economic separation within the family. They deal with fatherhood and the lack thereof. They deal with, the sisters, and it's just such a good show. It really, really is. And I just wanted to say that if we wanted to watch a little bit of Will Smith's life, not necessarily in the story of, him having to move to Bel Air and all of that, though I do believe some of that is woven into the script, but the personalities, this show is deep in a lot of ways, especially if you're watching it, I think, as a Black American.
Wow, that brings up some great things.
I wanted Nikki's comments on that because she was the one that actually told me to start watching it. So, yeah. And if anybody else is watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I just echo the same reasons why the show is so great, because it does give the behind the scenes. I think another thing that they deal with that wasn't on your list, Sherry, was drug abuse.
Yeah.
Because in the show, Carlton has a drug problem, right?
Yeah.
And I think that they also deal with body types as well. Like Will, the main character's girlfriend, isn't, and stick thin with a long weave, and you know what I'm saying, like all of these things. So I think it gives you a lot to think about. So I just feel like Will Smith is going to have a lot to say on how we start healing trauma, because his outburst was just so public. I think that it's going to be a really good conversation. Whoever stated that they agreed with how Chris Rock handled it and got his, some brownie points, got his black card stamp.
Yeah.
I think so too, because I think that he didn't add to the quote unquote black on black violence. So I don't know what to call it right now in this moment, by not pressing charges against him. So I do appreciate that.
And I want to add to that, because I feel like beyond the black on black, crime thing, I think that at heart, Chris Rock was like, my brother is hurting.
Right. Yep.
Why would I
for him
hurt
to come
him
up
further?
Here? Yeah. That's a good point.
I think that it was that. And I think that's the conversation that, that I would like to hear more people talk about. Like, how do you help somebody when they're hurting for whatever the hurt was, right? And then, Nikki, to your point about Will talking about it, what I hope and believe, as you do, that Will come out and talk about it. But just to go back, Nikki and I talked this morning before you all jumped on Clubhouse. Right. And one of the things we were talking about was like Kanye West outbursts, right? And I've been watching Kanye since College Dropout. Like, I've been a fan. Right. Got a little worn down with him. But here's the thing that I think was missed. And I don't think Will miss this. There was a very poignant opportunity for Kanye and his family at the time, the Kardashians, to really talk about mental health. When Kanye fell apart on stage during his tour and they had to go get him, and that poor man hasn't been right since his mother died. Right. But to fall apart and literally have a public breakdown, a nervous breakdown publicly, there was so much opportunity to have a positive conversation around mental health, around what needs to be done, around mental health for Black men in particular, that I think that this is an opportunity for Will, which I think they will take just in how they took the conversation to the red table when the whole thing came up with Jada and was it August Alsina? Right. Like, I love that they take important conversations and they shape it in a way that's good for them, healthy for them, but public enough that we know how they maneuvered through it. Yeah. And this, I think, is going to be one of them. I really do, and I pray that it's one of them because it needs to be had.
Yeah, Ryan.
I'll end with this. Yeah. There's so much anger that we all hold within, myself included, that it's just rage around different things that I really hope that we can have a conversation about that and hear his conversation. And I pass. I am done speaking, as they say.
Beautiful.
there's been an aspect of this that was alluded to earlier by some of the other speakers up here, which is that I think that there might be more to this story than we have seen. There may be something before that happened where Will said, hey, I'm happy to participate, but I don't want any jokes about my family. That is my, one request. That's my only need here. Otherwise, I really don't want to participate. And I mean, we don't know. We just, something like that happened before. Because it seemed like Rock looked at him when he saw that it didn't go over well and went like, oh, that was a nice one. Like the subtext was almost like we had discussed or something like that.
Right.
Like there would just be a very light joke or something. I mean, I don't know, because we can't know, but I think it's smelling like one of those puzzles where there might be a couple missing pieces. Does anybody else get that feeling?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there was something that he did in the 2016 Oscars when Jada was boycotting the Oscars because Will didn't get nominated. No Black people got nominated.
Yeah.
And they're telling Chris that he shouldn't host. And he said, Jada not boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. You weren't invited. And it was just so disrespectful. Like, I get, we keep saying that comics have this, well, they're just funny. They're just jokes. It's okay. And we think about a slap as not being okay. But that is incredibly insulting. It is abusive. Jokes are not just jokes. They're meant to hurt. And they do. And the way that he continues to berate, the way it was a very disrespectful way in which he insulted Jada when she was trying to take a stand for Black people and for her husband. And so then the next time he shows up on the stage, not as a host, not paid to tell jokes, but to be there to present something, he took another opportunity to jab at Jada. And I don't think it was scripted. I think it was off the cuff because it was a corny joke, considering G.I. Jane was such an old movie. And so that's the backstory, is that there has been a feud between the two of them. Right. And it's unfortunate that we don't talk about emotional abuse and mental abuse and the way that it seeps in. And I'm not saying it excuses violent behavior, but it is what it is, right? If we're going to talk about abuse, let's talk about it from a holistic standpoint. You can't say that a verbal abuse, they don't verbal abuse is just as harmful when it comes to the side effects to someone's psyche as physical.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. Yeah, there's so much to unpack here. Oh, it was one thing that was pointed out a few minutes ago that really touched me, and that was, if you're standing in Chris's shoes, and like you said, even with like what you're saying, Coco, either you like really crossed the line, or you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that would go that deep, and I think that I'm hoping that that's what he would have gotten from it, at least later on. I mean, based off of what you said, what he shared after he sat down, it was like, man, that sensitivity wasn't there. It still wasn't there. But yeah, I'm appreciating though that this opens up the conversation around mental health in a deep way, because for so many of us, we don't know what our stars and our idols and our icons are going through, and what it takes to live that kind of life in the limelight. I mean, everything that you do, even things that you own and that you don't feel good about, is like magnified, is multiplied, is exponential in how much you have to deal with it. So it could be really tough. And in all that, we can so overlook the mental health of our brothers and sisters in these positions. So yeah, it's a very deep thing. I want to do a quick refresh again. I see M. Dayton wants to come on through, our good friend. Also want to say hello to Brandy. If I didn't say hello to you, thank you so much for hanging out. Lakeithia, thanks so much for hanging out. If you have any thoughts, or if you'd like to come to the stage, by all means, throw up a wave. Would love to say hey, check in. And if not, you're just hanging out, listening in, by all means, you could do that too. And thanks so much for coming through. Everybody, let's open up our microphones and say huge good morning to my brother, M. Dayton.
Maurice, what's up?
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Good to see you, Aaron. You back in the States?
Yes, sir. Well, let me rephrase that. So a part of me is still here. My feet still aren't touching the ground. They're still in Rome, Italy. They'll be there for another week. So I'll get my feet delivered to me, but the rest of me is here.
I feel you, man. Good to see you. Welcome back, Coco. Good to see you, Sherry, Ryan. I've been in quite a few rooms listening to this. I was in a really good discussion about it this morning.
Right.
My biggest thing is the slap spoke to so many tropes and stereotypes about black men. We're angry. We can't control our emotions. We're violent. So many other things. I brought up in another room. I don't know if you all have seen or saw the confirmation hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Well, near the end, Cory Booker spoke up after all the crap she was getting from all these white men. Cory Booker spoke up and just poured life into her. It was a phenomenal display of black man love for a black woman, right? And I thought to myself, what if Will had done that? If he had to go up there, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. Okay. If he had to walk up on the stage, put your arm around Chris, say, brother, I love you, but look at that woman over there. And went into this Cory Booker moment, right? The whole thing would have been just completely different. Someone mentioned earlier that Chris Rock gained points, and I agree because he was the bigger man. This whole thing to me put a spotlight on Will Smith's immaturity. This is you're on the verge of receiving an Academy Award, the pinnacle achievement in your craft, and you're gonna show your ass like that. It was a terrible moment for Black Hollywood. That's all I got.
Yeah, brother, I definitely understand. It's one of those things where that definitely look at as unfortunate. The hope though is that it continues to raise conversations like this so that we could unpack it a bit further and find out what went into the smack. Like you said, the first thing I thought about was, okay, I see he's completely owning this because he knows what could happen to him. But then that made it go deeper for me and say, why? And it just went to a place of empathy. Like this must be deep. This must be deep. You bring up something that is really interesting to look at an ulterior motive. I mean, not motive, but an ulterior ending to it, alternate ending. That would have been a powerful thing, like you said, to stand up there and say, like, all right, I'm gonna tell you that I don't approve of this, but here's how I'm gonna do it, and the first thing I mentioned to Coco was like, I was like, man, of course I don't approve of a slap of, just slapping anybody. And I was like, I wish he had, and it was kind of like what you said, but it was from his seat. I was like, I wish he had said to him, I don't find that funny, and I'd appreciate you, if you don't. And, maybe that might have went differently. So it is interesting. And yeah, that's why we're here to unpack it, man. I thank you for sharing your thoughts so far. Sherry?
So, Maurice, I'm going to say this from a devil's advocate position and with love. How many times have we personally, who are not celebrities, had failures that weren't nearly as public as his? And to say that it was a setback for Black Hollywood, is it really fair to hang all of the progress of Black Hollywood on one man's shortcoming in a night? I don't think so. I don't know.
Interesting point.
Well, here's the thing. What a lot of people may not know is that was the first, I believe, the first Academy Awards presentation that was produced by a Black man, Will Packer, and an entire Black team. The Oscars have been under scrutiny for many, many years. I know you all remember Oscars So White and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm not saying that the whole future is tarnished by this. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you, we got set back. Mm-hmm. We got set back. And to be just Chris was presenting the Academy Award to Summer of Soul. The whole thing was just bad. Can we recover? Sure, maybe. Who knows? But it was just a bad night.
Yeah.
Right, but we're set
I just
back.
have so much empathy for him.
We're set back not by. Oh, sorry. We're set back by the white people, in my opinion, who are going to use it and milk it, right? And a lot of times, again, I go back to mental health. Right, Black people obviously, we've had this idea we have to be better than everybody else. We have to be smarter than everybody else. We can't show our faces. We can't eat chicken in public. We can't eat, watermelons. We have to get the white man's approval, and because they can kill us, whether it's kill us physically on a tree or kill our careers. And so now they're gonna use it against us. Absolutely. And I believe that we can become victims to our own rage. Yeah. And I believe that Will does have mental health challenges. And for us now to turn around, what I respected and I loved the most was how Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry came to his aid. And when he was doing his speech, Denzel said, "I love you." Denzel said, "Remember, when you're at your highest moment, the devil is going to come for you." And so I hope in this moment that the Black community can finally rally around someone in their weakest hour. Because what I notice, what we do to Black men in the Black community and everywhere else is when they fail, we kick them when they're down, and we don't get to the place of restoration. Was he wrong? 100%.
But it's the why.
But why did he risk his career? Why did he shoot himself in the foot like that? Right? I work with Black boys all the time, and I used to in the past anyway. And when they do things that are damning to everyone else, they're also damning themselves. Yeah. When they're violent towards others, they're also being violent towards themselves, and there's not healing that happens. I get that white people can and will weaponize this. Some white people can and will weaponize this and say that we can't have Black people at the Oscars. I get that, but when are we going to hold each other to the heart, not to a standard, and hold each other to our hearts? And that's why I respected what Denzel Washington did. And when Questlove went to accept the award, he hugged Will Smith on the way up the stairs to say, "We got you." And that's the stance that I want to take. Even when someone's wrong, we got you.
That's powerful.
Coco, thank you so much for that, because that's what I was alluding to earlier, is like there's so much rage that is, and particularly for Black men, like my heart just really hurts for Will. Because what do we do with the rage if you don't know to get counseling, or you don't have access to it, or can't afford it? What if you just had one of the worst moments in your life and you haven't had a chance to process it? There's so much more that I just hope that people play on, and I do. Yeah, thank you, Coco. I think that was well said.
I definitely agree. Hey, Rob. I want to say a couple hellos to good friends here. Good friend Rob, Brandon. What's up, homie? Thank you all so much for stopping by, hanging out. Y'all know what it is. AP Morning Show. This is what we do. Chop it up about good things and do it in the most emotionally intelligent way. You know, for me, it is all about the why. I think that's because of my mom. You know, being raised by a 40-year school teacher and mom who gave me so much exposure and education, it opened up this little thing in me called empathy. It's so damn hard for me to judge. Well, we all judge. I mean, even when you look at someone and you approve of it, that's a judgment. It's just a judgment in the positive. But it's so hard for me to judge in a not finding a place where I can understand type of way. Like I gotta get to that place where I can relate and understand. Because what I find usually, like my mentor says, since nothing happens in a vacuum, that usually what we see happen in the moment has to do with something that had nothing to do with us to begin with, and we wouldn't have chosen it if we could make the choices. But because our minds are molded by our circumstances and by our scenarios and situations that we grow up with in our community and our culture, you know, what may have allowed us to survive in our situation may not allow us to thrive. So I always look for that why. With that, everybody, let's open up our microphones and let's say now a good afternoon to Rob. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Rob.
What up, Rob?
I love this conversation that you guys are having. Coco, I agree with you 100%, like 120. I just spot on. That's the first concern I have. One thing that is not being spoken about that I've noticed is who went in the back, Eves, and gave Chris Rock a hug? Who has gone to him and give him love and encouragement?
Powerful.
Because none of that's being spoken about.
Powerful.
It's all about Will right now. Who made Chris a victim?
You know what? I love what you're saying. Let me say this, and then I definitely want to pass it back to you. One of the things I realize as human beings, and it's a part of our very fundamental tribal nature. Like I've now affirmed it studying psychology. Like when we see one person as a victim, it can automatically tip the scale in such a heavy way toward the other person and make us not have empathy for them too. Because for some of us, we feel that if you have empathy for the person that's in this scenario, the accuser or the person who you see as doing something to someone else, that it somehow condones their actions, when that's not true at all. But what is true is that if we can rehabilitate before we incarcerate or before we denigrate and all these other hates and eights, like, it's helpful. So I like what you're saying, Rob. I like what you're saying. Keep saying it. I'm gonna stop talking now.
No, that's pretty much it. Like it's like what Coco. Like I have two themes. Maybe I'm nearsighted right now because it's so close, and I haven't heard and listened to other people's opinions.
Yeah.
But one is Will Smith gave power to the Karens and the racists to call Will Smith a thug, and he's not. But they gave him. Will gave them the power to do that. As minute as it is, as small as it is, he did give them some power, and it will wash away soon. But then the other thing is Chris not pressing charges is allowing hecklers at comedian shows to walk up and punch a comedian without repercussions in their mind. Now, those other comedians are not going to stand for it. Like, if that was Dave Chappelle would probably have knocked Will back. However, that's not my point. My point is that because Chris allowed that to happen and he's not speaking out about it yet, is giving power to those hecklers in the comedian areas.
So it's interesting. I think that's an interesting thought. I feel like it might be one of those kind of situations where you kind of can't control how people take things and how they use them. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yep.
Because I have to say, in this case, especially like with what we were, just what I'm thinking about and what we were talking about earlier, I think it was a better example. Like, and maybe this is just because I'm thinking about my own demographic, like, and I think it was a better example of being like, nah, we can settle this while not getting like I don't have to put you in the midst of a system or situation that I know is already against you any damn way and is waiting on this. Like, I almost feel like it was a better victory in that way than for the people that will use it as a pass to punch people in the face. Because to be honest, I don't think, like you said, anybody else in another situation, I actually could see someone pressing charges, like say it was like completely random, like completely random. Now, maybe I'm not saying anything about saying that, but I guess I could see other situations where we might not be surprised if charges are pressed, and maybe we even agree with it. I think in this case, though, it was a victory of not having something else that would be considered another fucking distraction towards really the main thing getting here, which is, I think, like, what went into this and what are we really dealing with here on a deeper level. So I don't know, that's just my thoughts, but I definitely hear what you're saying, Rob, and I can imagine that some people may use this as a pass.
I would like to interject if I can again.
Please.
Hey. Rob, thank you so much for saying that, because we haven't talked about that enough, right? And I have to be very careful. I'm just going to be transparent here. As a survivor myself of violence, right. I've tended to be protective of the abuser, and that's part of some of the side effects, right? Where we become, it's that trauma bonding that happens, right? And so I question my own heart. Why did I melt for Will Smith and not have sympathy for Gronk? So thank you for arresting that in me. And I think because it's hard to have sympathy as a survivor for yourself to rage against it. There's so much psychology behind that. And so depending on what side of the fence you're on, should he have been charged? More than likely, maybe he should have. Well, if it's a crime that's been committed, right, which is assault, should that have been charged? So, and as much as the slap is emboldening the Karens in the world, it's also emboldening the people who believe that violence is the answer. And so if a black man is going to, or any man in general is going to be able to use violence to get his point across, then is violence against men okay? And I think we talked about that earlier. Is violence against women is not okay, but we're not talking about the violence against men. And when we look at the statistics, there's more men that are victims of male violence than women. And we're not talking about the impact of that and why that has been normalized in our society because men are tough. And so in a way, I don't want to say in a way, should he have been charged? If it's a crime, yes. But then there's this piece of what good would that have done? So I want to bring to the table restorative justice, which is another way. And I know there's another type of justice out there. I can't remember what it's called right now. There's punitive, which is behind bars, charge you, make you pay a fine. There's restorative, which is helping the person to take responsibility for what they did and to repair the harm that's done. Yeah. And there's a third one, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. But justice does need to be served in one way, shape, or form. And my hope is that if it's not punitive, like pressing charges, hopefully it will be at the very least restorative.
100%. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rob. You can go ahead.
I was going to say, it could be one of those moments where, hey, Will and Chris go to the White House and have beer with Uncle Joe, and they kind of talk it out how that was improper, right? Like the Gates scenario and the police officer with Obama. Like anything like that could happen, like where they can go into a public forum, not the White House, maybe something else, where they could actually talk it out and say, Will actually say, hey, you know what? I wasn't right. I wasn't right for doing that.
No, Rob, this is beyond that. This was absent, a very strong context. This was a very mild joke, to be honest with you.
Well, mild is subjective. I had to say that.
Yeah, and he knew what he was going into, right? This is not the first time these awards have been held. It's not the first time that people have had fun poked at them. You knew what you were getting up to. He walked 25 feet to attack Chris Rock.
Well,
and it wasn't a light slap.
Yeah.
And everything Dayton said is true. I completely agree with Dayton. It doesn't make him look good. It doesn't make anybody look good. It says, I can't, if you, even poke a little bit of fun at me, I'm going to react violently at you. And, the only acceptable thing I could have seen, again, and I'm glad I started by saying I'm glad that this didn't get involved with the police. But that said, the only acceptable way that if I had been Chris Rock, would have not involved the police is I would have told Will Smith, you didn't apologize to me during the acceptance. You put out a tweet right now, or I'm telling the LAPD that I do want to press charges. Because you are not sorry. You are not, learning from this. The only thing you have learned is that people will call out to you during the acceptance in support. And that is not the time. You can support a person, but not when they're being destructive. You can support Will Smith, but not while he's assaulting Chris Rock. That's my view on it.
I appreciate that. So, yeah, it's interesting. So one of the things that I hope for all of us, I really, really hope this. I hope that Chris I hope he speaks about why he decides not to press charges, or if he, continues with that. I hope he speaks about why. And I say that because I think that will be maybe a sobering moment for everyone in a positive way, I think. There's a lot of things we can say, like, if we were this person, this is what we would have done. But the only issue with that is we're not that person, and what they are going through or went through, it's not what we may have even dealt with, And so, there's so many things that go into a smack and a reaction. I hope that Chris speaks about why he does. I swear I hope. Because I just think it'll be helpful. And I do think that at the end of the day, even just for less media noise, because we already know. We already know. Even if like we feel like it should have happened as far as charges, we already know what would happen once the media gets hold of that. And so that winds up not being helpful for anybody. But, it takes empathy, I think, to even be in touch with that or realize that. So at the end of the day, I just hope that Chris speaks on why he doesn't, because I think it'll be a great sobering moment for us all. And with that, everybody, I want us to open up our microphones. I say a good day to Brandy. Hey, Brandy.
Hey, Brandy.
Hey, everybody. Glad you're having this room and you're actually talking about it intelligently, because some of these other rooms I don't know. But anyway.
Hey, thank you for affirming my whole life right now and everything that I do and why I do what I do.
No problem. But it's so layered. This whole situation is so layered because you already know, us as Black people, a lot of things that happen, especially in front of the camera, are very complex.
Right. Right.
And so I feel like this is really a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation in terms of the charges. Right. Because if he would have filed charges, then you would have people say, oh, he wrong for that, whatever. Right. Then, with him not filing the charges, then it's like, okay, is assault okay? P. Diddy actually released a statement a few hours ago saying, that both of them did, kind of hash some things out. And then he used the term, at the end of the day, they're brothers, that type of thing. And so I do feel that there was a certain familiarity that they have with each other that Chris took a little too far, because to me it was kind of like a thing, like if it's your brother or whatever, like somebody said, you done slapped your siblings around a few times before. Right. Like it kind of had that vibe to it, kind of like, all right, man, I told you not to try me, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, look at Chris's reaction. Chris's reaction was not, I mean, of course he was shocked, but it wasn't a reaction of, this Negro just hit me, but like two people that don't know each other. He reacted like, dang, bro, you had to hit me like that. Like that was his reaction. So there was a certain familiarity with it, like I said, that Chris took a little too far. Also too, it's interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, what happened?
Let me just say this. I gotta affirm you on this, because I love what you just said. I'll just sum it up by saying this. The same thing that you're pointing at, the same thing that made him take it a bit too far, is the same thing that allowed him to reel it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
Yeah.
It's that familiarity. Yeah. It's that brotherhood. It's that like, he hit me, but whoa, this my brother. Like Yeah, so go ahead.
Because if you notice, he even said where he was like, it was a joke. Like, in other words, like they have a certain camaraderie with each other. You can tell. But the point is, I was gonna say it's very interesting because it's all in jokes, but if you notice, a lot of times at the Oscars they really focus on heckling the nominee or heckling people that were part of the film or the crew. They don't really talk to the spouses, so that was kind of an interesting twist too, because it's kind of like, I don't think another comedian would have even bothered mentioning Jada. You feel me? Like, because she's not the one being nominated for anything. And I feel like when it comes to a lot of the other people's spouses as well, nobody's spouse is really, made fun of in that way. It's usually the person that's got nominated, or like I said, one of the producers, or somebody who has something to do with the actual films and the things that are being spotlighted on that night. But I was gonna say, from a woman's side, I'm gonna wrap this up. From a woman's perspective, I do have empathy, of course, for Jada, because as a Black woman, even though she's spoken out about having the alopecia and everything that comes along with that, Viola Davis has talked about this as well in her situation. It is one of those things where we really don't know how much it may have taken for her to even, want to get dressed up and come out that night to the Oscars. And Will may be privy to that, that internal struggle. But I think overall, to me, the whole theme is that I feel that Will had an emotional break. I feel like, it was a very stressful night. First of all, they got him sitting there for hours before he even know if he won. Because you remember him and Denzel did this song and dance about who's going to win the Oscar a few years ago. And so he probably was on edge with that, probably some personal things. You can tell he was very emotional about wanting to honor the Williams father and his story. So I just feel like it was just such a combination of emotions for him in general. And you can tell from his speech. It really took him a moment to get his thoughts together, because he wasn't quite coherent at first. So I feel like he's just feeling everything at once. And he's shown that he's a very emotional person. He's a deep thinker. So I feel like he was just feeling everything at one time, and it just came out in that way. So
I think I could not agree with you more, which is why I always say, like, the most important thing for me is the why before I judge it negatively, or and just for the sake of everybody having their own right to their feelings, before I judge it in a way where I don't understand or I can't relate to it. I try to find that. And that's what I think is wrapped up in what you're saying. When Coco first shared it with me and she started to share some of the other things about his life leading up to that point, and even in that moment, I mean, if you're here in a situation where somebody jokes about your relationship, calling you single, like, that could be hurtful. Now, all jokes could be hurtful, but like you said, when you keep adding these things up, that could be a lot to deal with, and I have empathy for that. So I thank you for sharing that, Brandy. Everything you shared, so poignant. Y'all, I'm gonna do a quick refresh of the room. Say what's up to Emma, hey, and my good brother Jamil Honesty. Real quick, I heard somebody jump in. Was that you, Ryan? Did you want to share something?
Oh no.
Okay, no doubt. Much love, family. Much love. I didn't see whose name that was, but at any rate, everybody, let's open up our microphones. Say good day to my brother from another mother, Jamil Honesty. Jamil, what's up,
Jamil? What up? Yo.
Hey, bro, how you doing, man?
Man, just chilling, man. I was just listening. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like y'all, y'all. I ain't want to come here joking about it, but
hey, look, a little laughter,
oh my gosh, bro.
But it was.
What I will say about it is, I'm not going to say he was right, and I'm not going to say he's wrong, because at the same time, like, this was done, man, you reach your breaking point at some point, man. And this dude has been dealing with a lot of flack, you know what I'm saying? People just been coming at him for past couple years about his wife and him being soft and this and that. You just I mean, we human, man.
So much.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, you gonna and then this is another. I don't want to make it a race thing, but it's like it's always us doing it to each other, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like it's so many levels of disrespect.
Right.
So it's like, here it is, you disrespecting me, another black man, in front of millions. You know what I'm saying? So that, of course, he gets demonized. Oh, he lost his composure. He's an animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, and then it's like, so it's that. Then we always talk about how black men don't stand up for black women, but that's what I saw last night.
That's what we were talking about. That's honestly,
that's what I saw last night. So, you know, could it have been handled differently?
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, you know, it was wrong. It was wrong altogether. But like I said, you know, people, you know, that they're not gonna. He's gonna be dealt with a certain way because he dealt with it the way he dealt with it, and that's just it.
Well, you know, I feel you, bro. In fact, I'm appreciating everything you're saying. It's really echoing so many of my sentiments and so much of what we said here today. The thing I like about what you're saying, like overall, even just the tone, is it's always down to the why. Like before you cast some person out, before it's just like, write him off with his head. It's like, whoa, why? Because we're human beings. And honestly, when we do different things, like we are either in the moment of survival or thriving. Like we're just trying the best we can based off of what we're dealing with. The thing is, you never know what we're dealing with unless you stop and take the moment to consider or ask or do some research or just think about it. And you're right when you say, like, when you pile all these things on top of each other that he's been dealing with, like, man, you can only deal with so much. I mean, I have so much empathy and respect just to be in a position like that, period, to even have the, you know, the courage to live your life in that way. It's a choice, but it comes with these, you know, it comes with this. So I like the tone of what you're saying, man. Like you said, it's unfortunate. Yeah, it could be handled a different way, but we need to really peel back the layers and say, what is this man really dealing with that we could be there and support him on when it comes to something like this? And then, you know, vice versa. That's what it's all about, man. Yo, I so appreciate you.
Yeah, bro. Man. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, then to really know that she has issues, you know, she has health issues as to why, you know, that's why she's lost hair and stuff like that. I mean, come on, that's visceral, man. You know what I'm saying? That's like, that's deep. And for you to joke about that, man, you know.
Well, the one thing, I don't know if you caught this right. It might have been right before you came into the conversation. Brandy just shared some things that really, really resonated with me. And she was like, you know, basically that familiarity with each other, like, you know, me and you are brothers. So like, we might joke about some things. That familiarity might be the very thing that made him cross that line and go more personal, not realizing that it wasn't a good thing to do. And I was telling her that that's the same thing that made him, in the end, reel it back, as in not pressing charges, and I don't think that he will. And then beyond that, not just immediately physically retaliating. I don't think it was because he thought he would have been, you know, messed up his spotlight or none of that. Because in the moment, like when you're dealing with something in the moment, you might just see red. I think it's the point of like, if I said something that was wrong to my brother, like I use you for an example. You one of my best friends in the entire world. If I'm joking about something and I'm not being mature or being wise in my choices, and you do something like that to me, ain't no way in the world I must immediately swing back on you. You my homie. I'm going to first be like, whoa, like I must have really crossed the line, or you must be really dealing with something or whatever. It's going to be a moment there, but it ain't going to be just some people that don't know each other.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I think Will was going to handle it, like, because remember he came back and he was like, you know, as celebrities, we just supposed to laugh things off. If you look at it in the moment, he did. That's exactly what he did. Right. But then when he turned and looked at Jada,
yeah, that's what Coco said,
and her visage changed.
Right.
he was like, "Oh hell no."
Right. And I'm gonna go on the
Oh
record.
hell no. So yeah, salute to that man though.
And I'm gonna and I'm gonna go. Well,
Word up.
the reason why I could feel you on that is because I'm gonna go all the way to the level of, again, now being in the know makes all the difference. And it's like being in the know about, the traumatic experiences that he experienced with his mama being disrespected, like in the most terrible way. If I'm him, when I see that expression, I might just have a flashback, and it may make me see red for a second. Not black, not white, not anything. So yeah, I think that level of empathy honestly is what's needed, because at the end of the day, if we're going to solve anything, it comes from empathy and understanding. And I always say that the key to empathy is continuing to hear other people's stories until you can find that place where you can relate. And then that's when it goes home and you're like, oh man, like before I cast this out, damn, that must have felt terrible. Let's see, let's handle this a different way than to cast out another human being.
And then you know what? And then too, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. It's like, as a man, black, white, green, yellow, whatever, our job is to put ourselves in the front line for our family, right? To protect them. So, and that would be another reason to salute him, man, because he just put everything on the line.
That's true.
Last night.
No, his family wasn't being assaulted. There was a light joke made about his partner who didn't take it well.
It's not light.
Yeah, you can't call it light. That's the problem.
I mean, by
light is subjective.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry, Ron, but I just gotta say this. I'm sorry, Ryan, and I hope you take this in love, brother, because I'm loving this. I just gotta say this to you though. The tough part about that is that light is subjective. It's like it's easy to say that.
Yeah, but it's light. Light is subjective to the person that interprets it, but lighter or harsher than the other jokes being made is not subjective, and it is lighter than the other jokes that were being made.
Well,
according to you, Brian.
Yeah, according to you.
No.
Well, let me finish my point though. My point was, whether it's subjective or not, he took it a certain way because he saw his wife upset.
Yeah.
So it's not our job, it's not our position or place to say, oh, well, you shouldn't take it this way, you shouldn't take it that way. She took it that way. And as a man, with the family, he stood up and he put everything on the line, like I said, put everything on the line for his family. And I salute that. Yeah. Now, whatever corporate says, if he loses jobs, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But as a man, that's our job, to put our lives on the line for our family, whether it's our wives, our children, whatever. So I salute that man.
I want to say, go ahead, Ryan. Right, let me say this right before we go further. It's all in love. Right before you go further, Ryan, just want to say this just to balance out the energy. So again, here, one of the things we want to do is that same demonstration. It's like, it's easy to get offended, and I'm saying this for all of us, even myself included. Just taking a second, take a breath. It's all good. We all have different views, and the one thing again that I first start off with is like, maybe this other person's experience might not be like my own, and maybe that might be the thing that we could chop it up about. Anyway, with that, Ryan, just want to let you know is in love, bro. And go ahead and share your thoughts, and then we're gonna say what's up to Kiara.
Okay. I mean, I'm all for that, Jamil. I don't know if I said that right, but and it's just that you have to actually be. The family has to actually be under attack. Like, we have a responsibility as public figures and adults and parents especially, but especially when we're a household name, to demonstrate righteous conduct. And you cannot, in our society, put your hands on somebody else because they made a joke that you didn't agree with. That's not defending your family. It's actually, what it's doing is teaching your kids that this is the way to act. Number two, you're exposing yourself and your family to the stress of legal risk and to the stress of all sorts of risks. Yes, if somebody's family is under attack for real, like in an actual illegal way, then yes, that's absolutely the best thing a man can do, and I completely agree with you there.
Hey, Aaron,
Yeah, I gotta agree too. I agree.
If you don't mind, what I have issue with is when we say no harm is done. For a woman to lose her hair to a disease is harmful, right? And a black woman to show up with a shaved head. It took a lot for Jada to talk about the disease that she has of alopecia. People are going to downplay that. His family has been in harm's way. The way that his son has been ridiculed, the way that his little baby girl was ridiculed by her, but with the music not being black enough, that family is under attack. It's emotional attack, it's psychological attack, and Will had enough. I'm not defending what he did in no way, shape, or form. Do I think that he handled it in the best way that he possibly could? He handled it, in my opinion, in the worst way that he possibly could, outside of a gun. Right. So I don't condone his behavior, but I'm not going to minimize the impact that comment had on his wife based on the history of everything that family has gone through under public scrutiny, and it is harm. We have to stop thinking that just because something isn't violent doesn't mean it isn't harmful. And to make fun of a woman's hair, a black woman's hair, that she's shaved her head because of a disease, not because of choice, is harmful. But that's piled on the fact that it was a black man who beat up his mother. And I think when we look at psychology and what's happening, put Hollywood aside, and I'm a influencer aside. In that moment, he was triggered. What happens when you're triggered? The blood leaves the brain. You go into fight, flight, or freeze. And fight, flight, or freeze means I'm going to fight. And he turned as somebody who studied psychology and has been working with survivors and working with women who have been abused all their life, and being a survivor myself, I know that way. What happens? You're not thinking. He wasn't thinking, and the anger and the violence exploded when he was sitting in the seat, and he kept repeating, "Don't say that." So he was trying to defend because he did feel harm, because he was the one who's holding his wife when she was crying, when her hair was falling out. And if it was a white woman who has cancer and someone was insulting her, we would have had much more pity for her if Chris Rock made fun of a white man's wife. We would go. We would, in my opinion, because I've seen it before, where white women get ridiculed for things. There's more sympathy because of the way society is. But when it's a black woman, well, it was nothing. It was just a joke. No, it wasn't just a joke, and that's what I have an issue with. I'm not saying he reacted properly, but I don't want to minimize the joke. And the way that we continue to disrespect black women and not hold their feelings to the same standard as everybody else's feelings. His family has been attacked. I've studied the family. I've looked at the history. They have been attacked, and it is harm. It is harmful. That joke was very harmful, and it was on purpose. And Chris Rock had no business saying that. And it can't be brushed away just by, well, it was simple. It wasn't simple for Jada. I saw the brokenness in her heart. And the humiliation, and black women are tired of being humiliated because of how we wear our hair or how we show up. Our hair has been demonized, and we've experienced such ridicule. And so, as much as I don't agree with the way he hit Chris Rock, I do stand by the fact that he wanted to defend his wife from real harm.
This is why the more we talk about this, the more I realize, or at least I feel like I realize, I'm playing this through my mind over and over. I'm considering all the things that we're saying. I'm like, oh, this is a homeboy who is joking his homeboy. He's taking it a step farther, like Brandy was saying, thinking it'll be okay because their homeboy is then realizing in the moment, oh shit, this was not okay. Wills was smacking his homeboy, like, in a way where he got love for him, be like, yo, you're not gonna do this to me. Now, again, not saying it's right, and all that kind of thing, but this is why I think the most important thing, you just said something a few seconds ago, Coco, when you said, when we're dealing with a lot, and when in that moment when we're triggered, we can't think of all those things, all those rational things. It's just not happening. This is actually when we need this. We need those that can think about it and ponder on it and talk about it, to continue to ask the question why, and to not cast us aside while they dive deeper into what we may have been dealing with that caused that, and that, you know, is either not something we've done to ourselves, or it could be understood and we could be, you know, helped in a way and not just punished. So with that, everybody, I want to do a quick refresh, and we'll probably hang out here for another 20, and then I'm going to share with you tonight, y'all. Tonight is going to be amazing. I'm a part of Baltimore's Best Jam Session. It's called The Session, and it's actually at a place called Our House. Not Our House, but when you get there, you really kind of will make it your house. That's how cozy it is. But it's at Our House, the letter R House. It's at 301 West 29th Street. And I'm there 7 to 10 every Monday night. I'm in the house band. I play piano. And even if you're not in my neck of woods, guess what? You can actually still hang out with us, because I stream on Facebook Live, the same place where I'm streaming right now. If you come over to Facebook, I forgot to mention that. If you're on Clubhouse, you want to hang out with me on Facebook right now, Facebook Live, see me making silly faces at the camera like I just did. Just come on over to Facebook, and in the search bar, type in Aaron Hill TV. I'm on my personal profile today, so if you follow me, then you'll see it pop up. And then right above your head in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on Clubhouse. I have to say that. Right above your head on Clubhouse, you should actually see a pinned link. And this just says Monday nights at Our House. You're going to see this little old lady dancing right there. That's that little purple you see right there. That's what happens on Monday night. The cutest things happen on Monday night. Click on that. Either watch it now while we're hanging out here and only 45 seconds long, or you can save it for later. Check out what I'm a part of on Mondays and come through if you're in the DMV area, and stream if you're hanging out on Facebook, y'all. 7 to 10 Monday nights, Eastern Standard Time. With that, everybody, let's open up our microphones and let's say a good day to Kiara. Hey, Kiara. How are you?
Hey.
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 Can you guys hear me okay?
Hey.
Can't hear you so well. How are you?
Okay, I'm good. So I just wanted to join in real quick because I was debating this with my friend actually. That's why this is done. And don't mind that, I'm at work, sorry.
I love it. That's the best testimony ever. I'm at work. Tune it in.
So I wanted to back up, like go off of what Coco said.
Yeah.
Like I followed Willow and Wilson's family from like the day she made her first song.
Wow.
And I've watched his family like personally get attacked a lot for just doing anything and everything. And someone said in the comments that he was portraying his character that he played in the movie, which I completely agree with, because Will is like Denzel to me. They both know not to react to certain things. As celebrities, you just stay quiet. You don't want to ruin your character, your reputation, nothing like that. So you have a man who has sat through years of dealing with people attacking his daughter, his son, his wife, his entire family, and all he did was sit there and just stay quiet. Even when Jada admitted to cheating, like, we made a meme out of it. We made a joke out of it. We sat here and watched this grown man cry on TV, and instead of comforting him, we made fun of him. So I don't agree that Chris should press charges, because he knew, everyone in the industry knew that this man was dealing with a lot of backlash, a lot of jokes, a lot of everything coming towards him, and all he did was sit there and be quiet and deal with it because he didn't want to ruin his character. So at that point, he just snapped and he couldn't hold it in anymore, because you made a joke about his wife's hair and like what she's dealing with, and like Coco said, like in the Black community with women, our hair is our pride and joy. And you don't know how hard it was for her to like actually open up about her losing her hair, because I'll admit, when I had to cut my hair, I cried for a month straight, because it's part of our identity. It's hard for us to just go sit there and like cut our hair, because we don't feel like ourselves. So for him to sit there and make a joke about his wife, I don't feel like what Will did was wrong. He just couldn't take it no more. He couldn't sit there and just laugh it off and then have her sit there and roll her eyes. He was protecting his family, because at the same time, Willow's dealing with backlash too, because of her music and the way she dresses and the way she acts. His son is still dealing with backlash for the way he acts. So it's like he doesn't get a win. It's like everyone else said, it's damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So I don't feel like nothing he did was wrong. I feel like he was protecting his family, and he just got to a breaking point where he was like, I'm not going to sit here and let you guys keep ridiculing me. It's only so much I can do. I'm human.
Yeah. I'm appreciating what you're saying. You know, I think, again, it keeps being reiterated. We're looking at what a person is dealing with and how it pushes them past the breaking point. I think, if anything, all of us are looking at and should use this example of the physical part of showing how serious the problem was and is. Everybody's pretty much echoing the same sentiments. Like, they wouldn't have maybe think that the best thing would be to hit the person, but to actually get to the point of not allowing yourself to just be a comedian who we just hush and just take shit. You know, I think that's what we're all seeing in this demonstration. And again, it's reminding me why unpacking the why is so important. So I'm loving what you're saying, Kiara, and yeah, this is really good. And I wanna give you all these thoughts too, coming from the room chat, to actually pair along with that. So Heather Park says he was betraying his character that he played in the movie. Oh, this is what you were just commenting on.
Yeah,
as
I was
fiercely
reading
protective
that.
over his family. He was just still and character. Interesting, because that's when you get to the part where it's like, well, what is a character in a movie? Well, it's actually just a demonstration of something in real life, and we put in a movie to capture it and entertain people and make $1 million off of it. Like, so he was responding as it would hit him in his heart. And I swear, the more we talk about this, I'm literally seeing it as him being like, yo, out of all this shit that I'm dealing with, you my homeboy, I ain't gonna let you just sit up there and, and again, now I might not have smacked my homeboy because I might have been able to control, but my deal is, instead of me assuming, it makes me say, damn, Will must be dealing with some heavy shit. Another thing that Sherry Goodall says, she says, remind people in the black church, women are told that your hair is your crown and your man is your covering. To lose your hair is a pain if it is a part of your identity. And again, I like what's being highlighted here, that we can brush this off as something light that doesn't matter. But again, if it didn't, we probably wouldn't have seen the smack. Let's just keep going deeper to understand what's our brother dealing with and how can we help.
I think Will have... I'm sorry, Brandy, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay, Rob. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is Will had many choices.
Yeah.
And he could have Kanye'd it. He could have got up there, took the mic, and said, I'm sorry, Dave Chappelle would have been funnier. He could have totally Kanye'd it. He didn't have to go up there and hit him. Sure. He could have still gone up there and done something, though.
Yes.
I honestly thought that's what he was coming to do, because if you notice, Chris Rock's reaction was, here come King Richard, right? And so then it looked like maybe Will was going to say something, because I thought it was going to be kind of like a comedic banter about it. I didn't expect it to be a physical, like, oh, I'm going to, hit you, whatever. Somebody made the point earlier that a lot of those jokes and different things are also known beforehand, and that Will may have warned Chris, like, hey man, don't be doing that or whatever. And then it may have kind of been a moment of, okay, well, where you show out at is where you're going to get corrected at. So I told you I was going to do it, and kind of the smack. I don't know. That's somebody's opinion. Right. But I was also going to say, how in the last year or so, how Will made amends with Janet Hubert White in the original Aunt Viv, and he also sat down with his therapist, and they doing red table talk and all this other stuff. Right. I was saying he seems like he's on a I don't know, I guess I want to use the word awakening in a sense, because he seems like he's trying to be more open, more authentic, more, I mean, we know he's a deep thinker anyway, but I feel he's at the point maybe where he's also trying to wear less of a mask, because we all know that's pretty much what you do, especially in that industry, is you act these roles and these parts, but the true you is really concealed. And I feel like he's at a point where he's probably trying to be more expressive with his emotions and be more open, but the problem is that type of industry doesn't really lend itself to doing that, unfortunately, just because of just how it is and how stuff can be perceived. But you see it with a lot of artists. They go through this moment of, I'm tired of being portrayed this way or seen this way or that way, and they just want to just be. And I feel like that's also a part of what was going on for him.
Yeah, I'm thankful for those thoughts. Again, the best thing is we're really peeling back the layers, and instead of just discarding our brother, like, what is he dealing with? In these last 10 minutes, there are two things that's important to me. One is the AP in the AP Morning Show stands for Accountability Partner. And from December 3rd, 2020, when I got into this environment, my number one idea when it came to accountability was talking about all things with people, dealing with the positive things in life, the negative, laughing together, checking in, catching up, and also finding out where I could stand in accountability with them on a personal goal for their day, their week, their life, or whatever. So before it hits 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, we're going to do that. That's in 9 minutes or so. Until that time, I'm going to do a couple more, probably 2 or 3 more things here. One, I'm going to share with you all a couple of thoughts that I've had that line up with this. These are original quotes that I've written, and they line up with the topic of today. And then also going to open up the floor. I'm going to say what's up to Asan. Thanks so much for hanging out. And everybody that's hanging in the audience, by all means, much love, family. If you'd like to come to the stage, even if it's just to say, hey, it's my most important goal to just love on people, say hi, check in to you, see how you're doing, say what's up to your beautiful face, just see what's happening in life. So if you'd like to come to the stage just to say, hey, before we shut down this space, by all means, you can. And if not, like I said, this has been helping you to just coast on your Monday, unless you're in a tip of Australia and it's Tuesday afternoon. And a good day to you. Thanks so much for hanging out. So one of the things I want to share is this: projecting your perspective onto others and then being upset or disappointed that they don't hold the same views is unfair and it's ridiculous. Number one, your thoughts are in your own head and nobody else knows how they're playing out there but you. Secondly, other people have different experiences, and for better or for worse, that's what it is. The best thing you can do is understand it and try your best to show them that life might not be just what it is from their perspective, to give them another perspective. If you can't, don't be abused by them or deal with their bullshit. But at any rate, projecting your perspective and being upset that people don't get it is unfair and ridiculous. Stop holding other people accountable for the things that they don't know is going on in your own biased head. Number two, conversely, healed people heal people. Yeah. And that is also important for you to understand and be aware of your own needs, especially when it comes to your mental health and well-being. You better own it, because nobody else will be able to do that for you. So if someone only accepts you for the version of you that they conjure in their head, even while you're being your true authentic self, they don't actually accept you. Be more concerned with those that feel you and empathize with you than those that don't. One you can feed without any effort other than being your true, authentic, and honest self. The other you can't please no matter how hard you try. So your energy is so precious and valuable. Don't waste it by putting it in unfruitful places and spaces. You don't need anyone in your life who doesn't fully accept you for who you are and be unapologetic about who you are. Unless you're an asshole, and then you need to apologize and change immediately. All right, before we exit this space, again, I want to open up the floor for anyone who has any wrap-up thoughts around this topic that we've gone down the path of. To me, in accountability, this is more about emotional intelligence. It's more about not throwing each other away and considering what each other might be dealing with. And it's also about unpacking and learning in the process, something we might not have been connected to. So the floor is yours if you're on stage, and if you want to come to the stage again, last couple calls, because I'm gonna still keep saying, just in case you decide to change your mind and come to the stage. Anybody on stage, the floor is yours. Final thoughts.
Yeah, my final thought is if you are abused currently, please seek help.
Yes.
It does get better for those that have been abused and got trauma from last night. I had a family member got deathly sick because of it. Be sure to watch yourself. If you need more therapy, go get it. It might have opened up some new wounds for you that you can get the healing for. So much love and care. And Aaron, thank you for this space.
Man, I so appreciate you. I appreciate your words. I appreciate your voice, hearing your voice, and I appreciate your thoughts. I couldn't agree with you more, and here's why. I decided a long time ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed. No, I was kidding. All right, I decided 2 years ago. Coco, you about to join me on that? I know somebody was. I promise you, I wrote that myself. No, so I decided.
You gotta sing it, man. You gotta sing it.
Right. If I should fail. No, I'm gonna stick to my day job.
Watson.
One of the reasons why I agree with you, Rob, is because I decided 2 years ago to put myself in school and to become a student of psychotherapy to a deep degree. I've always had a fascination with psychology. At this point, it is to help my friends, family, and community. So I couldn't agree with you more on the therapy piece. And it reminds me that I've also created something for you to help you sleep. And I just put it above our head here on Clubhouse. It's called Relaxing to Sleep. It's my newest guided meditation, and it's to just help you chill out and get a good night's sleep. On that same playlist, you'll see other meditations because I'm creating them regularly to help you de-stress, decompress, all that kind of good stuff. Check that out. Use it if you need it. Share it with a friend who hasn't been able to sleep. And the only thing I ask is the next time we talk on the phone here on Clubhouse, or if you're on my social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, just drop me a line and tell me how you experienced it. Tell me if it worked for you or how you experienced it. Before I made this sleep meditation, a lot of people were saying they were getting sleep to the ones that I already released. So this is directly about that. Intention makes it go deeper. So I hope you experience a deep sleep from this. And thanks for reminding me of that, Rob, by saying what you said. Coco.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, that's all I had to say. Thank you, Coco. Please go.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate what you said about people who were triggered by last night and seeing, abuse. And again, I hope that my comments did not in any way belittle the experience that Chris Rock had of being victimized. And I do work at a rape crisis center. My executive director also counsels men who are the ones who cause harm. Right. And so I believe wholeheartedly that we need to heal together. And I hope that we can agree that cancel culture isn't necessarily the best way to manage something like this. Right. That hurt people as well as heal people. Everybody deserves empathy. And also accountability, and that restorative justice, I believe, needs to be taken place in this situation. I can tell by my stuttering that I am completely triggered by this, having been a survivor of abuse and trauma. But I still unapologetically show up, even though I'm triggered, because I believe that everyone's voice matters. And to all of my Black women and sisters out here, I hope that we don't want to encourage our men to put themselves in harm's way by harming other men in our defense. We don't want to turn them into because when men harm others, they're also harming themselves. Right. And so how do we reverse the harm? We have to heal. And part of healing is having this beautiful conversation. So I wanted to say thank you to Aaron for being open enough to have this conversation. I think that you really did a great job of navigating through all of our conversations and keeping it a safe space for us. And I hope that we all take moments to heal and to love each other and to encourage each other and to start addressing things before they get too far, so that we can heal before the slap. And I hope that we can use this opportunity to look deep into our hearts to say what's going on with the individuals, both the Chris Rocks in the world and the Will Smiths in the world, who are both hurt and harmed in that moment.
Wow. Thank you so much, Coco, for everything that you shared, how you summed that up, and all the thoughts that you shared today. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. And you also just provided a springboard by giving me so much context, not just in the slap, but in the, everything leading up, the slack to the slap, yeah. And so I thank you, because without you, this conversation would not be possible. So thank you so much. Hey.
What if you still just want to slap somebody? Sorry.
You do not need to be. If we can't laugh here, I tell you, we ain't gonna make it.
I got a list.
Look, okay. Right.
Look, he did that. Slap a dap. Your therapist is gonna make a lot of money. A lot of money. If you got a list, you got a therapist that wants to hear that list.
I'm just joking. I'm joking, you guys. I'm non-violent.
Right.
But I know there's some people who like, woo.
Right.
Anybody out there got an ex-husband?
Right.
Right. You need to stay away from me. I'm just trying to lighten the mood, you guys.
That's what it is. That is what it is. Look, I don't slap people. I'm harmless, except for when I'm whipping somebody's ass. Like,
exactly.
And there's a thing, and that's what we're talking about here. There's a point. So I'm loving it. Keep talking smack, Nikki.
Wayne Brady would have smacked him back. Anything from the Dave Chappelle show, Wayne Brady has to smack him.
There's some dudes, they would have been up there fighting in them tuxedos, okay?
Right.
There would have been, there's just some dudes that are like, oh, that would have been ugly. That's where I give Chris Rock some points for constraint. But I think Chris Rock was probably just like in shock.
Yeah.
So, but not to belabor the point, we've already talked about all those things. But
I gotta say this: I think he was either in shock or he was how I would feel if I stepped a bit out of line with my homeboy and I didn't realize it until that moment. That's still my homeboy, and I'd be like, "Whoa, something happened."
And then you're like, "Oh."
I don't think
real? We've always had them friends like you're joking and they're like, oh, you mad for real?
Right. Like for real?
Right, for real, you mad?
Yeah, because if you notice, that's what he said to him. He was like, it was a G.I. Jane joke. And then he was like, keep my wife's name out your upper mouth. And then Chris was like, I will. And then he kind of moved on. Like, that was a moment between, I feel, people that kind of know each other. And it's kind of like, wow, you took it like that,
Yeah, exactly. I feel you.
Yeah, even though he was later find out, hopefully, that, hell yeah, I took it like that. And here's why. But that's what makes me understand it too, possibly in that way, because he was shocked because he just literally didn't think. He just didn't think, and we make those mistakes. Hopefully, he'll learn from it, and I can't wait to see what what the commentary is next. But yeah,
it's like when you play fighting and then you start fighting for real.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I think at the end of the day,
that wasn't a play though.
Right. You said it wasn't. That wasn't a play time. Like I told
Slapped
you,
the taste out his mouth.
Yeah, he did. I was like, ouch. I will say that I think that's what we'll see in the end. I really do think, and this is, we never know how it pans out, but I really do think, maybe it's just the optimistic side of me crossing all my fingers and toes and everything else. I really do think in the end that we'll see two people who see each other as brothers who are like, yo, I'm sorry. I didn't think. And so it is. So yeah. Anybody else? Final thoughts? And then I want to check in with you to see if there's a place I can stand in accountability with you, as well as your accountability family, on a personal goal before we get out of this space. Brandon, I didn't even say what's up to Brandon. Y'all, let's say what's up to Brandon. Brandon,
what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
What up, B?
Y'all talking about that boy Will Smith?
Right. Just tired.
Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, I've been listening. You know, I'm working and listening at the same time and stuff. I'm sorry I gotta check in so late though, because I know you about to shut it down and everything.
Oh, good, bro.
But I wanted to provide I guess play devil's advocate a little bit, or provide a different perspective. A lot of people have been, you know, of course this is kind of a bad experience, you know, that you're going to look at it negatively, and then you're going to consider all the negative stuff. But one question I have to you that hopefully is a little thought-provoking is, what did Will Smith have to gain from slapping the shit out of Chris Rock on national TV? What positives came out? What positives came out of him doing that?
Well,
or have people even thought of that?
Well, I think, to be honest, the funny thing is, I know you say you play devil's advocate and it sounds outside of context, but I really think, but I don't think it's too far fetched from where we are. So what I mean by that is this. All right. I think the answer to that question is not one, but it's like, it's the answer that will come as we continue to go on. It's like anything else in life. The gain from it, I think, even one is like right now, we're literally having a conversation, and like at least today in this space, 99% of the people here, or perspectives here, was more on the side of understanding and going deeper to see what caused it in order to see how we can prevent it or how we can help, than to just cast them out and be like, man, like, we just don't understand and he should be punished. Like, so to me, I would call that something positive. I think what you might be talking about is
because Will Smith is the #1 trending topic on social media right now. There's value in that.
Oh, you know,
in this world today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially him being an actor, him being a public figure, celebrity. You know, unfortunately, in this world, drama sells.
Oh yeah.
Drama makes money. Will Smith is in a position to make a whole bunch of money right now. You know how much TMZ or whoever else would pay for an exclusive interview with Will Smith right now?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I agree with you. Like,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that this is a good thing or anything. Right. I'm not advocating what he did. I'm not saying nothing positive about it. I'm just trying to think of it from a different point of view. I try to think about things from all angles,
from all sides. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah, I'm right with you.
Know what I'm saying?
It's the reality of the situation. Like, it's literally the reality of it. Like you said, there's so much negative. It could wreck his whole image. It could be a springboard, you know, for something else. Because attention is attention. You know.
And I honestly think Will Smith don't give a shit about none of that. I think this was a power move to get respect back on his side. Because everybody's talking about Will Smith, everybody's talking about his family right now, but ain't nobody making fun of him no more.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I can't.
Nobody making fun of him. And nobody making fun of his family.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. If I'm pushed to that point, you know, nice old Aaron, who you got to do a lot to push me to that point. It's because I've had enough, and I'm like, I'm about to make a statement so that this can stop. And it would take a lot for me to get there. So I'm with you, bro.
So I think that's what it was. I think Will Smith was making a statement to the whole fucking world.
I think so too. And he was willing. That's why the first
thing, you know what I'm saying? This shit stops today.
Right. I think that's why my first impression when I watched the video was that this wasn't. He owned it. Like you first owning it just knowing that you're on the ostrich in front of the world. And then he just owned it. And I was just like, okay, for better or for worse, he completely owned that. And that's why I say I think it's in alignment with what you're saying. 100%. He was just not going to let this pass and let himself or his wife feel disrespected, whatever it may be. Yes. I'm with you, bro.
Right. You come for my wife. You come for my kids. This what you gonna get from me, and I've proven myself.
And I have to say this will be the last point that I make on this, but I think it's a nice way to tie a bow on it too. Like it's a couple things that's been said here in this conversation, all which I completely understand, and it's that balancing act. It's like on one side, as a person who's in the limelight, you know that, so you have to be mindful of that. And that means that sometimes when you want to say something, you can't, or want to do something, you can't, whether it's this or anything else, even if it's to a less degree, you know, and maybe in another way that we always say, like, yeah, he should have did that way. But then there's the flip side of the coin too, that while you may have to play the game at times and hush, that also means that at other times, like, the way that you really feel won't be known, or like it's not good for you. And that could be a tough place to be in, where you're just like, yo, if I let this ride, so to speak, you know, and so there are times when you do need to hush, and then there are times when hush is the worst thing that you could possibly do. And then I think it just comes down to like what we're all saying, which is that we just know different ways to handle it have different, you know, negative consequences.
There are,
you know?
Yes, there are different ways to handle it. If that was on, you know, a regular people level, like you and I, regular people, middle class, of course, he'd have been in cuffs.
Yeah.
He'd have been in handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? But he's on a whole nother level where any statement that he has to make has to shock the world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In order for him to get a point across, he can't just go on Twitter or Facebook and post a video saying, you know, stop disrespecting my family. I don't appreciate nobody talking about my wife and my kids and all that. And people gonna be like, bitch, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think he shocked the world, and I think that was his aim. Like everyone said, he's a deep thinker, and I think that shit was premeditated. You know what I'm saying? And as far as Chris Rock goes, Chris Rock is not going to press charges.
Right. Fortunately.
He's not going to press charges. I think the conversation is going to go more like, you know, Chris, my bad. I had to make a statement, and he was just, you know, the wrong wrong place at the wrong time. I'm sorry, I had to make an example out of you personally, but it was not directed at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just something that he had to do for his family and his respect.
Well, you are unpacking something that definitely is in my hopes that happens. Like, I think about the red table talk. I think about putting all out on the table. What I would like to see, this will be my ideal. I like to see this unfold into a whole topic, a whole conversation, a whole series about mental health, about, you know, being mindful, sensitivity, all these things. And I hope it's with Chris and Will, like sitting down at the table. And I hope that it could be something like that, where Chris is like, yo, I'm really sorry. I apologize. Like, I went too far. I hope it's where Will's like, yo, I'm sorry too. Like, I felt the way that I felt, and here's why. And then it's just unpacked. Because honestly, that's how we help this whole situation. And I think if they took the lead on that, I think it would be pretty amazing. So
Chris Rock didn't do anything wrong. He did the same thing that just about every other comedian that hosts an award show does.
Oh, I'm with you.
And that's a little bit of light. That's a little bit of light roasting.
Well, I'm definitely with you. I think though that there's another level to it. Like, you can agree. Like, I could say I didn't do anything wrong by joking you, but now that we're talking about this, and now that I understand more of what you went through or what your wife went through, now we're just talking about like what it means for a person to just deal with like just the shit that happened that led him to that point. You know what I mean? Like, I think he could like not feel like he did anything wrong by telling a joke, but still be able to be like, now let's talk about what you've been through or what you dealt with, or what the real thing is that led to that, you know, because like some of the stuff that Will has gone through, just like many of us know, is like stuff that we all sit here today like, yeah, it's fucked up that they're dealing with it. So I think even just a conversation around those things, I think would be helpful, while still, you know, being able to say, hey, jokes are jokes. And like I said earlier, the only difference between whether a joke is funny or not is how many people laugh or who smacks you when you say it. So anyway, with that, y'all,
I don't know. I think that might be a short conversation, man.
Right.
It might be like, so Will, what's going on? What happened? And Will gonna be like, ain't nobody talking about my family right now, are they? Anybody talk? You hear anybody talk about my wife? You seen any memes come out about my wife?
Right.
Nope.
Right. Brother Paz, y'all, let's say what's up to Paz.
So yeah, so I just wanted to that's my kind of unique insight on it, you know. So I just wanted to add that into there, you know, not to take away from any of the serious topics that have come from this conversation too, because all of those things need to be addressed.
Right. 100%, bro. And I think it was right in alignment with it, bro. Like 100%. And I so thank you for sharing it, my man. Yes, sir. Y'all, let's say what's up to Paz before we tie a bow on this experience. Paz, what's up, family?
Hey, man. Good afternoon, man. I'm just plugging in when I can, man. You know, getting some good insights on today's hot news topic. You know, so it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful thing. I was listening to y'all talk, and I know you guys went into all kinds of good stuff. I'm sure. I only have one thing about the Will thing. I don't know if I am the resident, but in many areas I am the resident Will Smith expert. Meaning that prior to, you know, we share a similar age. He's a few years older than me, but you know, I've always been a fan. You know, watched all his stuff, supported him through all his moves, and just been a Will Smith fan. You know, and you know how you pick people who are famous to kind of model yourself after, who you resonate with, who have some just basic general things like you. Will Smith would be one of the guys that's on my list of people that are famous that I can look to and be like, oh wow, yeah, you know, I kind of, you know, as a kid, I kind of, you know, I was definitely more Will Smith than Rakim. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know the knowledge, but I did want to throw a party at my house with, you know, and get girls, you know. So I felt Will. I've always felt Will. So I will say this. As you guys start to break into what he's done and who he slapped and all that, and Chris Rock, look into, read his memoir, because it gives insight as to his early childhood and an abusive childhood, and to say that he had a childhood of violence from in home early, and that stuff lives with you, right? And there's a couple stories about him. Is one, when he was touring early on with Public Enemy, and Ice Cube and all these other people, they had to get pulled aside because out of all the acts, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were the ones that got into the most fights. Because there was a more than Public Enemy, more than NWA, more than all these hardcore groups. And the problem was that they were always being tested because I guess the crowd, you know, you go to Fresh Fest, you know, it's a tough crowd. That's the people that you think you can test. So they almost got kicked off the tour for fighting too much. He had a story in there where they attacked him and his manager tried to attack one of the early producers of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when he was first starting, because you know because the guy, they thought that this old 75-year-old man was gonna attack them in the room. And when they would have this meeting about how he wasn't doing whatever right, and he still wound up, and they wound up, you know, he wound up having to run out. Like they threatened this guy and all kinds of stuff. He says that his father was super abusive, I guess, you know, to the
That's
point
what we talked about earlier here.
His mother, you know, and all that. And if you look, there's videos of him slapping that guy. You remember the guy tried to kiss him like at an award show, so like a reporter or somebody, a fan, obviously a homosexual, tried to love him, tried to kiss him, and Will moves back and pops him. You know, quick. Like you don't see Leonardo DiCaprio throwing hands first. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So those early trainings of that kind of stuff and that violence is, you know, it can be built up, and it's trauma obviously for the Black community. But Will Smith is not somebody that's immune to that. He's only human. He just happens to be famous. So
I love
you know,
what you're saying.
Snap. And he wound up putting his hands on Chris. Kind of is what it is. But that was what I thought. Like that early stuff is still there, even after all the money, all the fame, all the stuff. It's still in you. So it's, for me, I look and say, all right, what early traumas do I have that I need to keep at bay? That way, you know, because at almost 50, it could pop up. And him being 50, whatever, you know, it still pops up in that environment. So, right or wrong, it's just something to think about for myself.
100%. I so appreciate you for, you know, reaffirming that, you know, because that's what we were talking about earlier. That's the first thing that hit me. Immediately when I heard about the childhood traumas with his mom, I was like, oh, he saw his mom there. Like it goes deep. And that's why asking the question why and unpacking these is the most important thing. I thank you for sharing that, and about the memoirs too, because I do think it's cool for all of us to really dig into that. The more you know about a person's story, that's how you get to that place of empathy. And I think empathy is important, because if you look at any action has a cause. And usually that cause comes from the way that we were raised, the environment that we were in, the level of educational exposure that we had, all things that didn't have a damn thing to do with our choice in the matter, unless you believe that you're coming back from a past life and you chose this. And then I got some questions for you that go beyond the scope of this show. But right before we wrap up, Miss Emma, she's not here. Emma said in the chat, Will, Jada, his family, and Chris all experienced pain in public. We all just had ring side seats. Send love, light, and healing energy to them all. And Brandy says so true, and I say so true, and 100%. This is what it is. So that's why I'm glad to have this conversation today, and I thank you all so much for taking part in it. Here's the last thing that I'll share. Before I share these last thoughts, I just stumbled upon like 4 quotes of mine back to back that all really speak to this in one way or another. So I'm gonna just read these couple quotes and we're out of here. Before I do, is there any place that I can stand in accountability with you on a personal goal for your day, your week, your life? If so, the floor is yours. I don't want to exit this space without that, with the foundation of this whole AP thing, accountability partners, plus double entendre. My name is Aaron Prentice. So yeah, but if there's any place where I can stand in accountability with you, the floor is yours. All right. Yep, go ahead, Paz.
Hey P, what I'm starting to do now is I've been working on my physical, meaning that, I got a good routine, working out and health. So as I start to build this foundation better, right. I'm saying that coming in the second quarter, which is starting, in April, I'm going to get back into my mindfulness practice, meaning
nice.
that, really spending that 15 minutes early in the morning, in some kind of meditation, some kind of breathing, some kind of deep thought. I may even throw a little journaling in there, but I don't want to overload it. But I want to start the practice off with something that I can really just rock with, right. For life, basically, and get it back. So you can definitely stand in accountability with me on that one. And, and the next time I hop on the show, ask me how it's going. But this is a lifelong thing. So the physical is good, the energy is right, the business is moving. I just want to add that in before I wind up snapping, and putting my hands on somebody.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Forget that. This is a learning lesson. Wise man learns from another man's mistake. So I'm like, let's and like I said, I resonate with Wills.
Right.
Just get my mind right. Let me get my mind right.
Yo, I love it, man. I love it. And I thank you so much for sharing that, man. The good thing for me is that's one of the best and easiest ways for me to stand in accountability with you, because that's also standing in accountability with myself in that same practice. Every morning now I get up, I try to do my stretching in the morning and my meditation at the same time, and I try to get it in first thing, because I notice my entire day is different. I started in 2019, and it's actually the thing that led me to being a mindfulness and meditation guide. Being a mindfulness and meditation guide myself. So yeah, I got you in that. Now, one way I got you is, if you get a chance, Paz, if you click above our head on Clubhouse, you click that. It's Relax into Sleep. It's my newest guided meditation cover. Now, this is for sleep if you ever need a restful night. But also, I just want you to test it out or whatever, even give me some feedback. But the other reason why I want you to click on it is because on that same playlist are actually other meditations that are exactly for what you're trying to do in the morning for a few minutes.
Okay.
I got one on focus. I got one on being present. I got this one and a couple more. And my goal has been to release one of those every week. So if you get a chance, click on that. It'll lead you to the playlist, and you can use those, along with your other materials to get your practice going. That's one of the best ways I can stay in accountability. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And then other than that, bro, man, just know that your entire day is different, man, with them 10-15 minutes in the morning. It's crazy. Like it's one of those ones where, like, I'm to the point now where when I don't get my mindfulness and meditation time in, like, I need a mindfulness and meditation time to, like, recover from the fact I'm pissed that I didn't get my mindfulness and meditation time in. Like, is that good? And then every time I fall off, or I have a couple days that I miss or something like that, when I do it again, I'm like, why do I keep missing it? Like, it's so good. Like, it's why? But there's always a chance to be like, at the same time, it's like absence make the heart grow fonder, and I appreciate that I'm doing that moment. And so I end off all of my meditations, the one that you hear, the guided meditations, I end all of them off with saying to you, like, take a moment to have gratitude to yourself and to be grateful for you setting aside this time towards your mental and your health and well-being, because feeling successful, like literally feeling like you've done it one time, no matter how many times you miss it, is actually half the battle to everything you're trying to do, because it relieves that stress. So yeah, bro, you got that. And other than that, yeah, I'll definitely keep checking in when I see you, when I talk to you, bro, on that for sure. Yes. All right. Anybody else before we go? And if not, that's all good, because that means I feel like I stood in accountability with you, even in you being filled up. All right. So here's the closing thoughts. All right. So this here is from the Dhammapada. This is from the Buddhist scriptures. It says, conquer the angry one by not getting angry. Conquer the wicked by goodness. Conquer the stingy by generosity. And the liar by speaking the truth. Gautama Buddha, the Dhammapada. And when you can't, get around some friends who can at least understand it. Everybody has their breaking moments. And like the people on the 8 people on the show. Choose the opposite action to negativity and witness the fruits of your choice. All right, here's another one. Just because you're frustrated, it doesn't give you the right to be an ass. Keep it mature in your stern delegation. Now I wrote that quote. The thing is, sometimes you got to be an ass to get you for people to be like, okay, we'll finally pay attention to you. And if you have to be, at least like immediately change it and be like, okay, now that I got your attention, let's have some real conversations. And what else? What else I got here? These are ones that relate to what we're talking about today. A person can either appreciate you for who you are or they can't. Don't stress yourself or beat yourself up about it, because if you're not one person's cup of tea, you'll be someone else's full course meal, and someone else will have time for you and won't just write you off. All right, cool. And I think that's it. I'm scrolling through, y'all. I like to give y'all some thoughts to think about. All right, one more. Let me see if I can just find one more. All right, let's go, Bruce Lee. Learning to accept the destination as the journey means to always be open to new understandings, new revelations, new information, new perspectives, and new outcomes to what you may have thought would be a different way. As long as you do this, you will be realistically applying the only consistent fact in life. The only thing that's 100% consistent in life is change. So like Bruce Lee put it, be water. Allow yourself to mold and shape with the different changes in life. It may not be easy, but it's doable. And it's the only thing that makes sense in the long run. This is the only way to achieve true harmony and peace in life, in my humble opinion. So be like the palm tree. The only consistency in life is change. So be like the palm tree and bend with the changing winds. Bending keeps you from breaking. That doesn't mean giving in. That just means being realistic and allow yourself to be mutable. Change sometimes comes slowly, other times swiftly. The best thing to do is to take on the character of the palm tree. If you flow or bend with the changing winds in life, you'll be doing the only realistic thing that's key to survival. Bending absorbs the tension of change. Many say that women innately have this ability due to their natural genetic makeup, i.e. having a baby, a key ingredient to birthing and nurturing. At any rate, any of us can benefit from this perspective or modality of thinking. So when change happens in our society or in your job, your home life, etc., learn to accept the fact that change many times equals evolution. And though it may be rough, evolution is always geared towards giving the evolved more equipping characteristics for the next level of survival, and I'm even say, to add on to it, my 2.0 on my own quote, for the next level of thriving. So be a living palm tree. And with that, I feel complete. Paz, thanks so much for stopping by, bro, picking up the phone and hanging out. Brandon, same to you. Kiara, and everybody that's hanging over here on Facebook, my cousin Mike Taylor, Yusef Bey, Herb the Voice Spencer, Stephen Carter, Caesar, Sarah Jones, Sherry Thompson, everybody. Much love, y'all. I hope this was a good start to your Monday, and I hope you finish it out well. If you're in the DMV, come hang with me at the session tonight, every Monday night, 7 to 10, at our house, the letter R House, 301 West 29th Street. It's the Harlem Renaissance reborn in Baltimore. And I'm in a house band, so come join me. And if you're not in my neck of the woods, tune in to Facebook Live. I'll be streaming. All right, everybody. With that, let's open up our microphones. And one last goodbye. Let's affirm each other on the rest of our day. Peace, Paz.
Yes, sir. Peace, brother.
Yes, yes. Brandon, peace. All right, Kiara. See you later. Take care, family.